So Siobhan and I are going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is where you feel like you're playing a part. You're a bit of an imposter in your own life. And if people find out about you, they would know that you're not really the person that you're pretending to be. So how does imposter syndrome raise its head, Siobhan?
Yeah, so I think it raises its head when anything outside of our comfort zone, and when we're doubting our abilities, we feel like, oh, hang on, I just need to know a little bit more before I can do this, or it's just not, I'm not going to be good enough, I'm not going to be perfect enough, I'm going to make some mistakes, I'm all of that sort of fear of just not yet. It's that really confidence in our own abilities. We doubt that confidence we have to show up as a good health coach, to take on a new work project. Yeah. How do you think it shows up?
It's definitely that I'm not good enough. So what I'll do is I'll do another course, because then I'll know everything. Like I'll know everything, and I can't start until I know everything. Or I've got to be prepared for anything that in coaching. Like I need to study nutrition, and I need to study business, and I need to study naturopathy, and I need to study homeopathy. I need to study, actually need to be a medical doctor as well, because what if my client comes to me and they ask me something and I don't know it? Like that would just be the worst case. Whereas that's not what coaching is. Coaching isn't knowing everything. Coaching is knowing how to coach.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just getting out there and doing it. And it's just that whole trying to be comfortable with, the fact that we will make mistakes. That's a reality. I've never met a perfect person. and I'm certainly not perfect myself. And so the reality is we are going to make mistakes, but we learn from the mistakes. And it's scary. It's scary to throw ourselves out there when we haven't done something before. But they always say that growth comes from being uncomfortable. So it's around that, that feel the fear and do it anyway. But I think a lot of going back to how it shows up is that procrastinate. People just keep putting things off, like procrastinate or say no to opportunities because they just don't feel they're ready enough. And so they're putting off what could be. And the reality is you're putting off growth, and you're going into that fixed mindset. Which obviously we know in coaching, we've got to embody that growth mindset of just having a go and showing up and not waiting until we're perfect and not making any mistakes.
Yeah. And it really does come from that perfectionism. Like I need to be perfect. I can't make mistakes. Mistakes are not possible, not permissible, which of course is ridiculous. Who doesn't make mistakes in life, and who doesn't learn from their mistakes? You don't get to be the top of your game by not giving things a go. And sometimes you do fail. Sometimes you do have a terrible session with a client, or maybe you have a client who doesn't do what they've committed to, and you feel it's your fault as a coach because you're not good enough. And look at everyone else. There's that comparison. Look at everyone else. They've got their coaching sorted, and they've got lots of clients, and I must just be terrible. And you feel like an imposter. How can I possibly start a business? I don't know everything yet, and I don't have a logo, and I don't have a website, and I can't possibly get started until I have all of those things. So as you said, we procrastinate because we're comparing, and we're expecting that we should be perfect before we start. And what's that saying? Perfect is the enemy of good? No. Perfect's the enemy of something. Done. Perfect's the enemy of done.
It is. Well, it is.
So I think in health coaching that imposter syndrome can come from not believing in ourselves as health coaches, not believing that we can actually make a difference, and maybe not even believing in the value of health coaching. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, if it's believing in the value of health coaching, it's like, all right, well, there's a lot of evidence out there that health coaching works. But then if it's that one-to-one, am I making a difference? Like literally just checking in with clients. How was the experience for you? How did you find it? Even if you didn't want to do it face-to-face, like asking for feedback. Sometimes when we do group coaching or group presenting, we ask for feedback anonymously with forms. And, but definitely when you are doing the one-to-one, just, how was the session? Was there anything, what did you get out of the session? Is there anything you'd like to do a little bit differently next time? Anything you'd like to change in terms of your approach? Or literally, and I think we don't ask for feedback enough. We either forget or we get scared or we feel like we're putting someone on the spot. But the reality is people love to be checked in with, and we can learn from that. I mean, look, sometimes we actually know, as you said, sometimes like, you haven't had the best session. Like there's been times when I've spectacularly failed, whether it's been on stage or with clients as well. And, look, sometimes maybe that client wouldn't have continued on with me or hasn't continued on with me, or, I still think the first time that I got up to do a presentation, or actually the first couple of times, and I think, oh, wow, I failed. I really failed. But you know what? I kept getting up there. I was like, all right, keep going. And it's literally just, you just keep learning and you go, okay, well, I can do this better next time and I can do that better next time. And even sometimes with clients though, like when you do feel like you spectacularly fail, you can either let it go, right? and that client might not want to work with you, or you can literally, change your approach. Or again, you can ask for feedback and say, look, you know what, I feel like, I don't know if that session landed right, or I, feel like I wasn't actually, you can apologize, say I wasn't on my A game, I was a bit tired that day, can we, take a different approach? Can we try something differently next time? And but it's just, it really is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
It is. But also what you raised was the expectations. So sometimes our expectation is that our client should be making changes and they should be getting better every week. And if they're not, then we are obviously failing as health coaches. So I think there's two parts to that. One is the expectations that our client has of us, and then the expectations we have of ourselves and our client's progress. So, health coaching is about really being clear about expectations. And when we're clear about those expectations, we can take the pedal off a bit. Our client doesn't know what perfect coaching is. They haven't been coached by Siobhan and now they're being coached by someone else and they're saying this person is not Siobhan. They've only been coached by you, and you have your own style when you're coaching, which is what makes you uniquely you. So we've also got to remember not to compare ourselves to others, particularly others who are very experienced, because we will be that person one day. So I think when it comes to the imposter syndrome, there's a couple of things that we can do. One is we can go back to our qualifications and we can say, you know what, feel the fear and do it anyway. I am feeling like an imposter right now. I feel like I don't know enough to start a business or to start coaching, but I've studied this. Like I know what I'm doing, and it's going to be okay. Like it might not be perfect, but it's going to be okay. So reassuring ourselves that we have what it takes, I know what I'm doing. I've done this for years, we, just so you know, we both get imposter syndrome. And sometimes you just have to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've studied this. And then, having that growth mindset, like you're never going to be perfect. So reflection and thinking, you know what, I've got a real gap in this area. And then you go to your mentors and you get support and you develop and you continue to grow. Like you said, it's opportunities for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it is really going, I know this. As you said, I've got, I've got the qualifications, reflecting on that. And then also focusing, sometimes it's getting out of your head and focusing on the audience as well. And I'm thinking presenting when I say audience, but it could be a client in front of you as well. Around, again, what do they need? What am I delivering for them? How are they going to get the most benefit? And again, obviously we ask the client, what do you need to get out of this? How will this feel like a beneficial session for you? How will this feel? And when you're asking those questions, that expectation management, you're asking, in one-on-one coaching, you're asking them what you'd like to get out of it. Then you are reassured too that you're providing value, because you're not guessing and going, oh, no, if they found any value in that. You've checked in at the beginning, you check throughout, and then you check in at the end. And that gives you a bit of a gauge as well. I mean, it's not always a foolproof way of providing a session that lands with the client, but it is definitely helps in terms of you knowing you're providing value and the client getting value out of that session.
Yeah. The other thing that we always talk about is, like imposter syndrome can feel like a bit of a dirty little secret, like, because secretly it's all about being a secret, secretly, I feel like I'm not good enough. And if other people knew, then I'd be exposed. And that's where imposter syndrome comes from, this secretiveness and, that whole keeping things hidden away. If we bring them out into the light, and if we say, hey, Siobhan, I feel like I am just pretending to be a coach. I'm not even a real coach. Like, I don't even feel like I should charge for my services. Or, you ask anyone that you trust and is a mentor, they will say, okay, let's talk about it. And then you will find evidence to support the fact that you are not being an imposter at all. And you can bring it out into the sunshine and shine light on it, and then it ceases to be the big issue that it feels when you're keeping it hidden away in the dark.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like that, doesn't it? That whole, like, I'm just going to hide away that, like, hang on, that part of me that's not good enough. But and one thing I was just thinking then is, like, everyone that we're talking to through this mentoring session are the gold standard at the moment. You guys are the gold standard in Australia and New Zealand for health coaching. And I was talking about this at an event last night with other people, other health professionals. And I was talking about the gold standard cancer health coaches, and they're the best of the best. And I'm like, oh, okay, right, they're the best health coaches. So the reality is that you are the best right now in coaching. Even if you don't have years of experience behind you right now, take I guess comfort in the fact that you can say that with clients. Like, I've done gold standard training. I'm literally one of the top trained health coaches in Australia and New Zealand.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the takeout from this is really, if you're feeling like you've got imposter syndrome, you're not alone. We all have moments of feeling like we're imposters and that we're not really enough. It's completely normal. When you're feeling like you've got imposter syndrome, go get support. Question whether the thought is helpful. Is this thought actually helpful? Is it helping me move closer to my goal, or is it actually keeping me from my goal? If it's not, if it's keeping you from your goal, which is to start your health coaching business or be the best version of yourself, then you need to deal with that thought and come up with a thought that actually is more helpful, which might be, I'm really qualified. I've got the gold standard of coaching. Let go of perfectionism. No one is ever perfect, and just get started. Just get started.
Yeah,